Hey YouTube, I'm back. At some point I'm going to talk about where I've been and what's been going on, but for now I want to get straight into a video that will talk about a topic that's been interesting me more and more recently, which is the experience that many people have, I think most people, of being somewhat distant from the world. There's an axis of experience of being closer to or further away, direct contact with or direct experience of the world. And I want to understand what causes the distance, what happens when that distance is going on, and what is it about that coming back into full contact that's so interesting and so powerful for many people. Now, it seems to me that most people, particularly more thinky people who are in their heads, seem to live as if in some kind of a simulation of the world. So they're running a simulation, and rather than living in the world directly, they're experiencing their simulation, a kind of projection of what's going on. And it's possible to bring people out of the simulation and into the actual world, at which point there's an experience of something like vividness, vibrancy, the world gets more interesting, more detailed, colors are kind of stronger and brighter, that kind of thing. There's a sense of the world being more three-dimensional. And I talk a lot about awareness in my Alexander technique stuff, particularly expanded awareness. But there's another angle to this, which is not just the spaciousness of awareness, but that element of direct contact. And I almost want to make the awareness piece a little less important as I start to talk more about this direct contact thing. Now, I think one of the things that's going on with this distance is to do with how the mind seems to map the world as being familiar, and we step into habits. And once that familiarity, that habitual groove patterning has been laid down, it's almost like at that point the world doesn't need to be quite so high quality, high resolution. So the more familiar something is, the less high resolution it is. Particularly the world seems to go away. And in Alexander technique, we see that interrupting the familiar patterns of being seems to bring back this vibrancy. It seems to kind of go, oh, things aren't familiar actually, so what's going on? It seems to make the world, brighter in some sense. So I want to know what's going on here, basically, because when people have this experience of direct contact, shall we say, it's a component of what I'm calling aliveness, which I get from my teacher, and many people use it, but I'm exploring a kind of a technical definition of the term almost. It's a much nicer way of being. It's not like, wow, the world is a lot, that's too much, sensory overload thing, although some people seem to get that on the way to this state that I'm pointing at. It's more like, this seems much simpler, actually. This is simple and easy, and the world is somehow fundamentally more interesting or more satisfying in a sense. There's no longer a sense of boredom or kind of wondering what's happening next, or kind of inadequacy of the world. It's just like, wow, there's the world, and it's ticking every box I have. That's just wonderful. It's all I need right now. And it kind of saddens me that I used to be very much in this distant from the world state. And I don't want to use the word dissociation because that seems a little bit too clinical. But certainly that's the thing that's troubled me as well. Over the years of my experience, I've had a lot of dissociative type distance. The first time I tried AT, it was like I stepped through a veil and was like, oh wow, that's what the world looks like. That's so bright. But it seems that most people have some element of this, and it seems to play into a lot of difficulties, challenges, so shall we say suboptimal experience of the world. And it doesn't take very much to kind of put that down and go like, oh, what a relief, I'm actually here. I'm real and tangible in a world that is real and tangible, one that I can feel in relationship with and at home in, rather than separate from and distant from. So that's what's on my mind right now. I want to start thinking more about this and writing more about this and looking for other frames that talk about this as well. I'm currently going through the Alethea coach training program, and there's a lot of stuff in there that's kind of similar to this. So I think there are a lot of different practices, and I want to start kind of putting on the threads of what really creates this sense of being in the world. and start to integrate it more into my teaching. So I'll leave it there for the first video. I will do more of these. It's good to be back, and see you next time.